The golden hour, that
Hmm.
perfect soft light just after sunrise or right before sunset. It's beautiful, right? Photographers love it.
Hmm. Dreamy.
But imagine that same light, late 1970s, Southern California, in the hills, quiet neighborhoods. As that sun goes down, the shadows get longer.
And something else is moving in those shadows.
Yeah.
Something, well, monstrous.
Yeah. Welcome to the deep dive.
And this deep dive, it takes us into a really, really disturbing time. We're talking 1977 to 1979.
Right.
We're going to be looking at how Rodney Alcala, kind of emboldened after being in the public eye,
Mm-hmm.
that infamous appearance on the dating game.
Still can't believe that happened.
I know. How he then launched this absolutely terrifying killing spree across Southern California. Young women just started vanishing.
And then found, the way they were found, these macabre posed scenes.
Exactly.
So our mission today really is to dig into the original sources. We've got police case files, autopsy reports, testimony from trials, old news reports, the works.
Yeah, the raw material.
And we want to chronicle the murders of Jill Barcomb, Georgia Wixted, Charlotte Lamb, and Jill Parenteau. We'll follow the investigations, which were, pretty desperate at times.
Definitely.
Look at the forensic connections that eventually surfaced and sort of track that dawning, awful realization that there was this single, really cunning predator out there.
Operating right under everyone's noses
Yeah.
in this sunny landscape with this horrifying impunity.
It's going to be intense, detailed, but we're really focused on pulling out those key insights, trying to understand not just what happened, but how. How could this happen, and what did it mean for everyone involved?
Okay, so before we get into the specifics of these awful cases, it's important to set the scene a bit. We need to look at Alcala just before this period, his brazenness.
Right, he wasn't exactly hiding, was he?
Not at all. He'd already been like a known quantity, a disturbing presence. He was seen in the LA Times darkroom, apparently doing these predatory photo shoots.
Predatory photo shoots, even then.
Even then. And get this, he was even interviewed by the Hillside Strangler task force.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Interviewed by them before this spree?
Yeah. It's pretty unnerving when you think about the violence he was just about to unleash.
Yeah. That Hillside task force detail, that's something else. So law enforcement actually talked to him. He was on their radar, but he still managed to project this, normal vibe.
Uh-huh.
And then, like you said, the dating game. Charming America on TV just a year before things really escalate. How did that public face that charm? How did the sources suggest that helped him operate with such, as you put it, horrifying impunity?
Well, that's a really key point. The sources, they kind of suggest his public facade wasn't just like a mask he put on. It was an active part of his method.
A tool.
Exactly, a tool. His confidence, which was probably boosted by these public things and, getting away with earlier stuff, it seemed to have given him this incredible feeling of being untouchable. So he wasn't just lurking in the shadows. He was bold, using that charm, using the whole photographer thing to approach victims right out in the open.
Right, a camera as bait.
Precisely. And this escalation we're about to see, it shows a predator becoming not just more brutal, but more confident, refining these chilling methods with every single act.
Okay, so let's start with the first confirmed victim of this spree. Jill Barcomb, November 10th, 1977, Los Angeles. She was only 18.
Just a kid, really.
Yeah, moved from New York, looking for that fresh start in California, full of hope. Last seen near Hollywood and Vine. Just a young woman starting out.
The details of how they met, the sources are unclear on that exact point. Was it just random? Did he approach her with the camera? That was a common tactic for him?
We don't know for sure.
We don't. But we know the horrifying result. Jill Barcomb was strangled. And then her body was driven way up into the Hollywood Hills, dumped near Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, reading through the sources you shared for this, one thing really jumped out early on, how they found her body. It wasn't just tossed aside.
Yeah.
The reports described her as being placed. She was on her back, arms at her sides, almost serene. That specific act, placing the body, what did that signal to investigators right away, especially in those original police reports?
That was hugely significant. It told them immediately this wasn't just some crime of pure uncontrolled rage where the body's just dumped.
Right.
The deliberate posing, it suggested control, maybe even some kind of perverse ritual by the killer. It pointed to someone who wasn't just getting rid of evidence, but maybe making a statement, or even, God forbid, relishing the aftermath.
Chilling.
And the ligature, rope not tied around her neck. Plus, clear defensive wounds on her arms. She fought back. Hard.
And then those bite marks, the sources called them savage, like an animal marking its kill, something that visceral.
Yeah.
What did that tell investigators? Was that a common thing they saw, or did it instantly flag this case as something uniquely disturbing?
Bite marks are actually incredibly rare in homicide cases. So yes, seeing them here immediately made this case stand out. It's definitely not a common signature.
Right.
It suggested something highly personal, depraved even. It pointed to a killer who wasn't just violent, but who needed to, I don't know, imprint himself on his victims in this deeply intimate, disturbing way.
Wow.
It certainly fit with the assessment that this was deliberate, ritualistic, going way beyond just opportunity.
But even with these awful details, the struggle, the staging, the bite marks, the investigation hit a wall pretty fast, didn't it?
Yeah, huge challenges. No witnesses came forward, no immediate suspects. Jill Barcomb's case it tragically became another unsolved file in L.A.
Which meant Alcala was still out there, free to strike again. And he did, just weeks later.
Which brings us to December 16th, 1977, Malibu this time. Completely different vibe, you know, that quiet beach community.
Shattered.
Totally shattered. Georgia Wixted, 27 years old, a legal secretary, lived in a quiet apartment there. Last seen leaving her office in Santa Monica.
And her roommate comes home, finds the door ajar. Signs of a violent struggle inside, just chaos.
Yeah, a complete nightmare scenario.
And then she finds Georgia in her bedroom, beaten, strangled, raped. I mean, you just can't imagine walking into that. The forensic reports, Dr. Cynthia Marsh worked on this one, right? What did her findings tell investigators about the sheer brutality here?
Dr. Marsh's report, it laid out just overwhelming violence. Ligature strangulation was the main cause of death, but also manual asphyxiation likely contributory.
So strangled with something and by hand.
Seems like it. Plus, expensive blunt force trauma to the head and face.
Awful.
And again, defensive wounds on hands and forearms. She fought too. And evidence of sexual assault.
Horrific.
But what's really notable here, signature-wise, the ligature used pantyhose, found right there at the scene.
Pantyhose, just an everyday item.
Exactly. Twisted into a weapon. That detail, using something common like that, it immediately echoed the kind of brutality seen with Jill Barcomb. It suggested this immediate, opportunistic, yet deeply personal attack.
And again, the posing, Dr. Marsh noted Georgia was posed post-mortem, found supine, so on her back, legs partially bent. So the question had to be asked, right? Are these cases connected? The posing, the violence? It seems like they had to compare them.
Oh, absolutely. It warranted comparison. But here's where things got complicated, investigation-wise.
Jurisdiction.
Exactly. Malibu and the Hollywood Hills, different police departments, different detectives working the cases.
So the information wasn't flowing easily between them.
Right. That kind of jurisdictional divide often slowed things down, prevented immediate connections even when the signs were there. The pieces existed, but they were scattered across different maps, essentially.
So it would take more victims, more time before those pieces started to form a recognizable, terrifying picture.
Tragically, yes.
Okay, so the next piece of this awful puzzle, it shows up months later, June 3rd, 1978, El Segundo.
Right, near LAX.
Charlotte Lamb, 31 years old, a computer technician. She disappears after visiting her sister in Santa Monica. Her car is found abandoned nearby, which seems to be part of his pattern, right? Ditching the car somewhere else.
Yeah, it seems like a way to obscure the timeline or the initial point of contact, make it harder to figure out where the abduction actually happened.
So days later, a resident finds her body in the laundry room of their apartment complex in El Segundo.
Just imagine finding someone like that on the cold concrete floor of a laundry room. It's this horrifying clash of the totally mundane and the absolutely monstrous. The sources really emphasize how shocking that discovery was.
And the forensics from this scene. They started to really deepen those patterns we've been talking about. Strangled, probably with a thin cord or wire.
Different ligature again, but still strangulation.
Exactly. And again, significant posing after death. She was positioned on her side, one leg bent, arms pulled behind her back. So the pose itself is different from Barcomb or Wixted, but that element of control, that deliberate arrangement, it's still there.
It is.
What did that variation in posing, but the consistent need for control, tell investigators about how this guy was operating? Was he evolving?
It suggests he was, adaptable maybe, but also refining his signature. The pose might change, maybe based on the location or impulse, but the act of posing, that need for postmortem control, stayed constant.
A compulsion.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
It's a hallmark of certain kinds of serial predators, right? It's not just about the killing, it's about the aftermath, this macabre sort of artistry.
Mm.
But what was really crucial about the Charlotte Lamb scene were the other forensic finds. There was blood spatter on the lower window frame,
Okay.
and testing showed it was not the victim's type,
Meaning it could be the killer's. He got injured.
or at least left his own biological trace. That's huge.
Yeah.
And even bigger. Latent prints, fingerprints.
Where?
On the door handle, and here, smudged on the washing machine. And the reports say they were good quality.
Wow, okay. So now they have tangible clues. Blood type, good fingerprints. This must have ramped things up.
Definitely. That suspicion, this idea of a photographer killer that had been kind of whispered about, it started to feel much more real.
But they still didn't have a name. Right, not yet. They had clues, patterns, even prints now, but no match to tie it all together.
Not yet. That connection, that solid link, was still elusive, but it was coming.
And it would finally come together, but tragically, not before another young woman lost her life. We jump forward again, June 14th, 1979, Burbank.
Right. We're in a nightclub setting now.
Yeah.
Jill Parenteau, 21 years old, just moved from Washington State. She's out with her friend, Kate Bryant.
Just two young women having a night out.
Exactly. Enjoying life.
And then the encounter. Kate Bryant's testimony later, it's heartbreaking. She said Jill was so excited, met this guy at the bar, claimed to be a photographer.
There it is again.
Yeah, described him as really charming, sophisticated, told Jill she had incredible bone structure, should model.
It's a classic line.
Totally. They talked for a long time. He gives her a number, calls himself John Berger or something like that. Jill's apparently completely charmed, tells Kate she's going over to his place, supposedly to see his portfolio, leaves with him around midnight, all smiles. Kate even said, "Don't wait up."
Okay.
Last time she saw her friend alive. That detail, using the photography lure, the charm, it just perfectly shows his method, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The sources paint this as classic Alcala. He wasn't just ambushing people, he was actively drawing them in, building rapport, exploiting their dreams, or just their curiosity.
And the alias, John Berger, another layer of deception.
Right, allowed him to move around under different identities. Just this terrifying mix of manipulation and pure predatory drive.
So the next day, Jill Parenteau is found in her Burbank apartment. And the signature, it's unmistakable by now, isn't it?
Undeniable. Beaten, strangled, raped, and posed. Again, found on her bed, placed supine, arms positioned unnaturally, head turned to the side.
Dr. Marsh, again, her analysis was pretty blunt this time, wasn't it?
Emphatic. She noted, the level of violence, the control exerted afterward, it's escalating.
Escalating.
And crucially, she said, the posing. It's a calling card. This is the same individual. I'd staked my reputation on it.
Wow. So the patterns were just too strong to ignore anymore. It felt like a real escalation, right? More brutal, more confident.
Seems that way. The brutality was definitely increasing, and the killer's confidence seemed almost blatant in how he was acting. This growing audacity, plus that distinct posing. It finally gave investigators what they needed.
And then came the big break, the forensics.
Yeah. A forensic analyst working Parenteau's scene flagged it as priority 1. They lifted multiple prints, clear ones from a drinking glass in the living room and the bedroom door frame.
Clear prints.
And then the breakthrough they'd been waiting for.
An AFI hit.
AFIS, right. Automated fingerprint identification system. Still relatively new tech then, but powerful. Able to compare prints against huge databases way faster than before.
Exactly. Groundbreaking for the time. So these clear prints from Parenteau's apartment, they flagged something. What was the hit?
This must have just sent shockwaves through the departments involved. The prints from Parenteau's place, they matched to prints lifted from the El Segundo laundry room window Charlotte Lamb scene.
Oh my God. There it is. The direct link.
The first direct, physical, irrefutable link between two of the murders. A massive, massive breakthrough. But wait, there's more.
More.
The prints also matched to prints on file for Rodney James Alcala, parolee, registered sex offender, the photographer.
Wow. Just wow. The dam finally breaks.
Complete.
Prints link Parenteau to Lamb, and both sets of prints link directly to Rodney Alcala. All those, the posing, the method, the photographer angle, it all snaps into focus.
Clarifying focus.
News reports started coming out fast, right? Confirming a major break in the Parenteau murder, linking it to Charlotte Lamb's unsolved case in El Segundo.
And they named him Rodney Alcala, the photographer, the guy from the dating game, now officially a person of interest.
The photographer killer finally had a name. The net starts to tighten. Finally.
Finally. But even with his name out there, Alcala was like a ghost.
Yeah.
He knew the system. He knew how to just vanish.
Right.
So while LAPD, Burbank PD, all these agencies are scrambling, trying to connect the dots across their jurisdictions, pulling all the evidence together, getting ready for an arrest, Alcala isn't done.
He strikes again, even with his name linked to the murders.
Unbelievably, yes.
Hmm?
Just days after Jill Parenteau's murder was discovered, June 20th, 1979, Huntington Beach this time, Orange County.
Okay.
12-year-old Robin Samso. She borrowed a gold necklace from a friend, hopped on her bike to go to ballet class.
A 12-year-old girl.
She never made it to class.
Oh, no.
Robin Samso's disappearance happening so soon after the Parenteau breakthrough. That became the catalyst, the event that just finally completely shattered Alcala's world of shadow.
That must have kicked the investigation into absolute overdrive.
Oh, absolutely. It turned the hunt for the photographer killer into its most desperate, most critical phase. It wasn't just LA County anymore. This was becoming a statewide, even nationwide manhunt.
Looking back at these 4 cases we've covered, Jill Barcomb, Georgia Wixted, Charlotte Lamb, Jill Parenteau, it's just staggering how this one guy could operate with such, I don't know, impunity, such sophistication across different areas for so long.
It really is.
What stands out to you the most from the sources about how his methods evolve, or maybe the huge challenges the police face trying to connect these dots between different cities, different departments? It paints such a dark picture of his mind, doesn't it?
What's really striking, I think, is how his methods changed in brutality but kept that core element of control, that ritual. From the way Jill Barcomb was posed right through the escalating violence and that calling card Dr. Marsh saw with Jill Parenteau. It's like watching someone not just commit crimes, but almost perfect, a horrific technique. It's chilling.
And the police side.
Huge hurdles, those jurisdictional silos we talked about, the lack of widespread computerized databases back then to quickly link crimes across areas. And they were up against a killer who was actively using charm and deception. It was like trying to catch smoke, a race against time and scattered clues.
So here's something for you, the listener, to think about. Even with the violence escalating, even with those distinct signatures becoming clearer, it still took that AFIS fingerprint hit, and then, tragically, one last crime in this period, Robin Samso's disappearance, to really blow the lid off and unmask the photographer killer.
Yeah.
What does that tell us about how hard cold cases can be, even when there is forensic evidence sitting there? How critical can that one single piece of evidence, that one definitive connection, be in cracking a case that seems impossible and finally bringing justice a step closer?
It's a crucial question. And in our next deep dive, we're going to pick up right there. We'll follow that frantic nationwide search for Robin Samso. We're going to look at the critical discovery made in Alcala's storage locker up in Seattle, which turned out to be one of the most disturbing troves of evidence imaginable. Photos of potentially hundreds of unidentified women and children.
Oh, wow. The storage locker? That's infamous.
Infamous. It leads to the nationwide manhunt, his eventual capture, the arrest that finally stopped the specific killing spree. But, as we'll see, the fight for justice for all his victims, that was really only just beginning.
And for that, we'll be digging into more sources, including detailed FBI VCAP reports. That's the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, a national database designed specifically to help connect patterns in violent crimes across different states and jurisdictions.
Exactly, trying to prevent killers like Alcala from slipping through those jurisdictional cracks again.
Until then, remember their names. Jill Barcomb, Georgia Wixted, Charlotte Lamb.
Yep.
Jill Parenteau, remember the shadow that fell over Southern California during those years?
Yeah.
This has been a deep dive into police files, autopsy reports, trial testimony, news archives, and those VCAP reports. Thanks for joining us.